Well, welcome everybody back to Realty Check, a podcast where we deep dive under the skin of real estate. We explore a number of things in and around real estate in Dubai and what you would want to know specifically before you make an investment decision into the real estate landscape. So this is the channel. I would like you to please hit the subscribe button. Don't leave otherwise. There's a lot more information that you would get and you'll be enriched being a part of this subscription with our channel. Today, we have something special. I mean, the Realty Podcast channel has always explored various aspects of real estate in the Dubai market. We've looked at areas, we've looked at the return on investment in different parts, typologies you could invest in if you are either an investor or an end user. But we today take a bit of a detour. A healthy detour, nevertheless. We would like to explore the world of events and roadshows. And to deep dive into that discussion, we have a very special guest. We have Parth Gaglani, who's the Vice President of Events and Roadshows for ArK Vision. And he is joined with a number of years of experience having done this, not just in Dubai, but different parts of the world. With that, let's turn the spotlight to our guest. Parth, warm welcome. Good to have you here today.
Pleasure to be on board. DAMAC is like my second home, so I don't need an invite.
Right.
Being, from DAMAC School of Business, for me, it's an institution.
Right.
So whatever.
You're not the first one to say that, though. I've never heard
Yes.
people saying it.
But yeah, I mean, whatever I'm, today, it's all thanks to DAMAC.
Right.
The platform which DAMAC gave when
Right.
I was here from 2016 until 19.
Yeah.
I think those times were different, but
Correct.
but the institution still stays
Right, at least the
strong.
fundamentals have been given by a solid institution. In fact, our
That's
chairman
right.
says DAMAC Properties is more of an institutionalized developer, not just a developer just producing projects. We've created some of the best minds in the real estate industry today. And well, that's just a great privilege to know that you are also part of one DAMAC one way or the other.
And in fact, just to add on, the DAMAC, they have been the cornerstone as far as Dubai is concerned,
Right.
taking it at global level.
Right.
So if not for DAMAC, probably this roadshow concept would not have been alive or would not have been kicking the way it has been.
Right. I know we've pioneered a lot of initiatives in the real estate business, and roadshows and events is one of them. And we've tweaked it, fine-tuned it as well, so that it can help our brokers and as our clients as well abroad. And people who are so far cry from Dubai who may not know what's actually happening on the ground.
Bang on.
And we take it there, right?
That's right.
Okay,
Yes.
I'm really excited because today's topic is very, very special. It's a cut separate from what we usually do.
Right.
You're someone who spearheads the international events for ArK Vision, which I understand you single-handedly spearhead that whole operation. I want to ask
That's
you a
right.
few things just to understand how it works. First of all, how do you put together in words for people to understand? There are a lot of people who tune in to understand this. In words, what does roadshows or events international actually mean for the public?
See, to begin with, typically we do our research, we do our standpoints in terms of, taking Dubai real estate or say, DAMAC properties as a whole, because they
Right.
offer a plethora of options
Right,
across buyers and investors,
Right.
through in international markets.
right,
So that's the, background work we do.
Right.
What kind of a market we want to tap in? Why do we want to tap in? What is the interest levels of, buyers wanting to, invest in Dubai?
right,
In terms of their cash flows, in terms of the currency appreciation and depreciation,
right,
because that helps them in terms of investing in Dubai.
right.
So, these are basic fundamental factors we look at. We do some kind of campaigns to see, if there are...
to gauge
yes,
the
they gauge the
interest,
market.
test-
That's right.
Yeah, that's brilliant. I mean, it's not as easy as pack your bags, backpack, and leave. Right? There's so much
Absolutely.
work that goes in. You mentioned that in about 30 seconds, but I'm sure there is weeks of work that goes into it. Tell us a
Totally.
little about how this process begins. I mean, how do you even arrive at saying Chile is a great market?
See, we got to keep ourselves, abreast with what's happening globally.
Right.
So, a lot of markets, say for example, US was never, in terms of, never in radar in terms of they investing in
least for a
UA
while,
market
yes.
or
Correct.
Dubai real estate. But if you look at the past year and a half or so, the amount of investments which have flown in from US has been 5 times what
Right.
it was, probably over a decade, what we've
Right,
seen
right.
or what I have been, witnessing since my stay in Dubai.
Right.
Now, largely why? Because Dubai offers that safety, stability, security net. Investors or buyers,
Yeah.
they know they can even relocate to
Yeah,
Dubai.
correct.
The money is well protected because of RERA escrow accounts in
Right,
place.
right.
We also have partnered with our CA firms who help our investors in terms of setting up business operations.
Right.
This wasn't the case earlier. So,
Right.
when we understand all these dynamics before we even plan a roadshow, is where we know that we can have a success. And I've always believed that roadshows is just like a relationship.
Right.
The more you nurture, the more time you invest, better the results and better the returns.
That's interesting.
Yes.
It's not like a one-time show where
No.
you pack and go to a certain place and you
No.
come back.
No.
Though you may have made, let's say, 3 sales or 4 sales out of
Not
it. It doesn't
really.
stop there.
See, because you will never be able to build on your credibility.
Yeah, and relationships and trust as well.
Absolutely.
The more they see you, the
That's
better.
right.
In fact, that's a question that I planted for the end. Consistency, I think, is a very important
Yes.
part. Just going back to research, there are 2 sets of brokers that I have found. Because I know how you work, so I'm not going to put that into that classification. But there are those who proactively understand where the markets are shifting, the dynamics, geopolitical
Issues.
uncertainties, the economic upheaval. There could be multiple challenges there, security, like what you mentioned. And there are those who want to get into the flow after the business has begun, right? That's a reactive model. But I'm assuming ArK, which has done this year on year, you're very proactive. How do you keep your ears pinned to the ground to get this info?
Look, we've been, when we started off with this model, being an ex-DAMAC, worked for several years in international markets.
Right.
So obviously we picked, from where we left, and it never felt that, we are starting off with something new.
Right.
But of course, in a real estate or for a real estate agency,
Yeah.
there are not a lot of agencies in the market which had dedicated international, department,
Right.
to begin with.
Right.
So that's where, Karan and Vinay, again ex-DAMAC and our promoters,
Right.
it was all conceptualized that why don't
Right.
we, have something which is away, from the local market, which is,
Right.
your normal
Right.
day in and day out work.
Right.
So having said that, we started off, with one multiplied and, growing our team, blossoming those flowers, and got the benefits reaped in terms of targeting different markets.
Right. Got
Basis
it.
on our standpoints. I read a lot in terms of what's
Right.
happening globally,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that is important for me to shortlist a market.
Right.
Even if we want to plan off with something.
Right.
Over and above that, we do some test campaigns
Right.
to understand the pulse of that market.
Okay.
Then subsequently we try to understand, is it possible for clients to transfer funds through bank
So
routes.
there's so much work that is
Yes,
actually done. It's not
absolutely.
just in terms of research fundamentally of geopolitical uncertainty alone,
Yeah.
but you want to test it. Yeah? Let's
Absolutely.
put the chips where it
Because
matters.
I always believe if I'm investing my time into it,
Yeah.
then I need to get a long-term result. And that is
Absolutely.
not possible with just, taking any country or a city from, the world map and just go there.
Right. Right.
You're never going to get that kind of
Yeah,
results.
it'll be hit and miss or hit
Yes.
and, yeah. Just going back to the research that you mentioned, you also mentioned it's not just the first scan, but you also test the markets out. Tell us a little about what you mean by testing. I mean, do you do some sort of social marketing?
Yes.
How does that work?
So when we talk about test campaigns, typically, we try to roll up some kind of creatives,
Right.
just to create that buzz in the market. What's the sense of a, audience in terms of Dubai,
Right.
when it comes to real estate investments. I'll go a little backwards. In 2022, when we were targeting a lot of African countries, pretty much, at that point in time, a lot of investments were flowing in towards Turkey. Because
Right.
Turkey had opened up. But then, while I was interacting with investors across the table, I told them one thing, that look, I understand Turkey has opened up, they're giving you advantages, but they will not be, considered as a safe haven in terms of security, which Dubai offers.
Yes.
And now if you see right now, people are trying to move or pull their funds from Turkish market
Back into Dubai
Yes.
and set up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I mean, when His Highness himself talks about safety, that women can walk at 3 in the night, I think that is self-explanatory. That
Yeah.
more than the money factor, it's the
Yeah.
safety which you're looking for your family,
Right.
which is
right.
what Dubai has to offer.
Right. Well, I think that's key, essential. I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to flip it around.
Sure.
Being in Dubai, I mean, we live in this environment. We live and breathe Dubai, so we get to know how safe the city is. We enjoy the safety and its benefits as well. I mean, I've got a daughter who's 20 years old, and
Right.
for her to walk to her university, and yesterday she's there till about 12:30.
Right.
And I was like on my pillow chilling off because I knew that she's safe anyway. How do you take this to a roadshow and get people to understand Dubai? What is that you do there?
Look, I mean, I don't go there to sell. That's a very probably you might be surprised to know
You
that
got
I'm
me
in
there. You got me. Usually it's the other way around. I hear people saying, listen, we want to go and make a sale, come back with, I'm going to pay off my costs and expenses. That's the focus. But you're shifting it. Why is
Yes,
that?
I don't believe in selling. I believe in making relations.
Right.
So if I'm building relations with someone,
Right.
that person, has to trust. Parting with funds is probably a step 2 or a step 3.
Correct.
Step 1 is to build a relation. They should know what my, what background is.
Right.
So if I'm talking to someone, I obviously explain them how long have I been in Dubai.
Right.
I live with my family.
Right.
I've got a 3-year-old son.
Right.
And the kind of offerings which my family has been getting it
Right.
for almost a decade now,
Right.
since the time I have been in Dubai.
Right.
So they understand that if they are talking to someone, he's well qualified,
Right.
well oiled,
Yeah.
polished,
Yeah.
highly educated.
Right.
So that is the experience which you just put it across the table.
Again.
And then you need to, like I said earlier, roadshows or clients at the roadshow is just like nurturing a relationship.
Right.
If you're nurturing well enough, you might not
pays
get a
off.
result tomorrow itself,
But it pays off
but if
eventually.
you go long,
Mm.
you are going to get that results consistently and continuously.
Yeah.
Plus, being in a service industry, you just
Yeah.
cannot take a
Backseat and say, yeah,
no way.
absolutely agreed. Absolutely agreed.
So that's how we've been working on certain markets where I can with 100% confidence I can say that no one does that kind of business with probably others in the market as much as they do with us.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
any client comes down, to Dubai, the essence is for them to see our whole setup. How are we placed in Dubai? A lot of
Right.
agencies, they travel,
Absolutely.
do roadshows,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
they need to know whom are they dealing with or whom are they
Right.
talking to.
Right.
So this is
Absolutely.
where we differentiate. Even my team, they're all highly qualified. They've been they've studied and passed out from B schools in
Yeah.
India, US,
Yeah.
UK. So that is the ingredients and experience we've brought it on the table.
Right, which also tells me that it's not that you would push everyone into a roadshow from your own team, right?
Look, if you push someone, he might or she might probably momentarily just swoop in onto that, but it is not going to fetch you, a long-term outcome.
Right.
Because for us, if
Yeah.
I've built a relation, then I look at a longer picture, a longer game. That one
Correct.
person is going to help me out with the whole group of his friends,
Right.
or
Exactly.
people staying
Yeah,
there.
making it comfortable for your client to fork out the money. I think
Yes.
people don't pay much of attention to that.
Yes.
Because what I know is in Dubai, the pressure to sell is high.
Totally.
There's that many brokers, right?
I agree.
And everyone's out to sell, and sell. Relationships come next. Unfortunately, that's an environment that people tend to put. But I've got senior brokers like yourself,
Right.
where trust is very, very important because that's the legacy that you're building your establishment on. But when you go to an international market, the whole mindset has to
Completely
change. Tell me
changes,
about the
yes.
mindset. What shift do people need to make in that?
Look, when we are meeting buyers over there, first we try to understand that what's the sole purpose of
Right.
investing in Dubai.
Right.
So if the person is wanting to relocate, or if the person is just purely wanting to invest, or play a short and long game. So that's how we try to narrow down in
Right.
terms of their understanding, in terms
Right.
of their need.
Right.
I mean, we even go probably step ahead in terms of understanding the business also. So we have curated solutions over here, because we just don't work as a broker, we work as investment advisors.
Right.
Because that is how I have also graduated in terms of my studies and
Right.
course over a period of time.
Right.
But having said that, if I am trying to make his investments move into a newer country, which is probably he's not going to see it because he's not going to be here.
Right.
So that's where I try to understand his business first.
Right.
If I've understood his business well, then I try to create an opportunity that how his cash flow is going to roll in
Yeah.
terms of your real estate investments, and parallelly his major source of business, which is generating revenue in his own country.
Right.
So that's where they get that understanding.
So
Okay.
you need that level of expertise and competence.
Well, yes. I mean, I would say with a lot of experience on road
Right.
travels, meeting a lot of people all across.
You build that
different- yes.
bandwidth, the wherewithal
Yes.
to speak that way
That's
and
right.
engage your clients
That's
that
right.
way. So this is a no rookie zone, right? You
No.
don't have any rookies who want.
I mean, as much as it looks rosy, but it isn't.
Right, brilliant. I mean, that makes sense. It makes a lot of sense to me now. Clients, I just want to take you back to clients. Roadshow, you have developers who also work with you to help that partnership with developers. I'm going to
Absolutely.
talk about that in a while, but clients, let's start with clients first. social media is a place where you generate leads, right?
That's right.
How do you qualify these leads? I mean, you don't want to just pack your bags and go because you've got 1,000 people who are showing interest.
Right.
I mean, there's a process that you put together. How does that process work?
So internationally itself, we've got a team of around 25 to 30 people.
Right.
So we've got portfolio managers. So when we start, sourcing the leads, our campaigns obviously run a couple of weeks in advance before the event.
Right.
And that's how, the leads start coming down
Right.
on our platform.
Right.
And then in line, it goes on to our portfolio managers. That's where
Right.
they start interacting.
Lovely.
They are also well, qualified, well oiled, well educated. They know their products well. When it comes to DAMAC, it internally,
Yeah, it just pours out.
Yes. So they first try to, obviously focus on DAMAC because DAMAC, offers a lot of options,
Right.
right from apartments to townhouses to villas
Yeah.
to hotel apartments.
Yes.
So endless opportunities. Now DAMAC has also gone global
Right.
with UK,
Yeah.
US coming in. So that's where the they build that level of leverage with the clients.
Right.
We do Zoom calls. So even
Right.
before I travel, if there are any clients where I'm probably traveling to that part of the world, I try to get it lined up with me because the client needs to see my face.
Right.
He should know that I'm going to
Absolutely.
be coming there.
Absolutely.
And likewise, whichever sales director is traveling. So that's where the whole funnel gets initiated.
Right.
From connecting with the client, which is where our portfolio managers they
So
come
that's
into
the
picture.
amount of prep work that happens even before you
absolutely.
travel. Connect happens, relationships are built,
Totally.
information's passed on. So which means a client who's coming for the roadshow now, the likelihood of him actually wanting to make a decision is much higher.
Yes. So that's what we obviously try and do because with digitization, clients have all the access to multiple information across several portals.
Yes.
So and platforms. So
Correct.
that's where we need to be thorough with our communication and numbers and information, whatever has been getting passed through, because one information gone wrong is where we lose the client completely.
Right.
And when you talk about clients in international markets, they are anyway very fickle-minded. They're very apprehensive.
Right.
That it's not a scam.
Yeah.
That is what
Absolutely.
largely the mindset is, because like I said, it's not a smaller investment we're
Right.
looking at, right?
Right.
So this is where we are thorough with our approach.
Right.
My team is pretty much 100% on their knowledge about
Right.
the products.
Right.
They
It's a key
share-
thing. Very important.
Yeah, they keep on engaging with the clients by sharing all the data points,
Right.
which comes across. Now,
Right.
if you see from 10th until 17th March, today only one stats got released that how much business has happened.
Right.
So it's not only about, like I said, it's not about sales.
Right.
You create this, as a case, and that's how client would feel comfort that okay, I'm dealing with the right set
Someone
of
who's professional,
Yes.
well informed, he's done his
Yes.
homework. I know him by face now.
Totally.
This is a lot of work that actually goes behind it. I mean, it's not just pack bags and leave.
Yes.
Clients not necessarily will buy at every roadshow. We know that. Now, I know some brokers who will, meet them in the roadshow. The decision doesn't happen, the deal doesn't happen, and then he gets pushed down the funnel somewhere, and he's either lost or forgotten. How do you manage to rev back relationships? Do you do that, or you just say, "Listen, let's go after new blood now"?
If you ask me, frankly speaking, my core strength is post-event follow-ups.
Right.
That is my core strength and my team's strength. I mean, when I say my core strength, if there are certain investors where I have met them personally, I ensure that I am in touch or on and off regularly syncing up with them
Right.
because they've met me in person.
Right.
So that is a need of an hour. The moment you are weak on follow-ups, you tend to lose a client again.
Right.
You have to be on the client's head. I'm not saying that you have to bombard them.
Yeah, that's my next question.
Yes, you don't have to bombard them, but then on and off, be in sync with them. A lot of clients, they plan a trip to Dubai. I'd also like to add one more layer over here. DAMAC has spoiled us with the fly-in offer.
Yeah,
with
that's
the
helped
fly-in
you, right?
packages, big time.
How does it complement with the roadshows and events? How does it complement?
Typically, if a buyer wants to physically come and have a look, then
Right.
DAMAC starts with the lowest fly-in package of with a token amount of 20,000 dirhams,
Right.
which is again refundable.
Correct.
If they
The
do not
client
like
decides
yes.
to ink the deal.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. And if they see it physically, they see these options.
Seeing is believing, anyway.
And we've had clients, they've told us a budget X and they've gone with X plus 2
Right.
after seeing it physically. So this
Right.
is where it has helped us a lot. It's being an impetus with the clients where we offer them these flying packages,
Yeah.
that you come here, be our guest, and they have their hotels, which is in prime location.
Right.
So you get to stay there, see the quality, then you move around with us. You see our setup.
Yeah.
So it's a complete cycle of process from start to finish.
And it makes a lot of sense to me because I can see how this whole relationship is enriched. Because it's not just bipartisan. It's not about just you and your client.
That's right.
There's a developer involved, then you have your clients, then you have your team, and then you have obviously your own interests as a leader.
And our follow-ups with the salesperson as well who's traveled.
Well, yeah, absolutely, from DAMAC as well.
Yes, that's
Just actually, next question is, developer partnership for roadshows and events. How significant is it as one? How much should a developer have their teeth in the game for your event and roadshow to be successful?
As much as our 100% effort, I would say developer sales representative probably would be a notch higher.
Right.
Because end of the day, they would see us as a real estate agent from an agency.
Right.
However, a sales representative or a sales manager from, say, DAMAC, gives that value.
The more impetus
yes,
and the push
upholds their value, because then the client knows that, okay, I'm talking to a representative directly from the developer who's building this.
Right.
If I'm talking about DAMAC and if I don't get that access, to the sales representative, then obviously, they might be in a cocky situation, because they know that we are the middleman.
Right.
But at the same time, they need to have someone representing the one who's building it.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So that's important, critical that the developer plays that role as well. I'm going to bring you down to more or less to the end of our lovely conversation. It's been very, very insightful. If you were to come back after an event and say, well, this has been successful, what will your parameters be of success? And like what you said, it's not about sale.
Yes.
Right. So what will your parameters of success
be? I mean, typically when we, usually do a 2-day event, so if I have had around a good number of clients or investors who walked in, I would not say that, everyone's going to buy, but at least from that I can create a pipeline, or my team can have a pipeline, because like I said, post-event follow-up is extremely important.
Right.
Because client has met us, we are back into our home country, or, we're back in Dubai. They are back into their own zone. They're trying to work out on their finances, their cash flows, so on and so forth.
Plenty of things that they have to do as well. Yeah.
So that's where post-event follow-up is extremely important. And for that to happen, you need to have, sizable number of walk-ins to come down to meet you.
Right.
Because, then only your event can become successful. Whether you pull out a token on spot, that's one part of it.
Right.
But that's the regular business, which, would yield me with results.
Right.
I've had clients where we've closed after almost a 2-year follow-up.
Right.
They've remembered us, yes, that, you were, I'd met you. I spoke with others, but the kind of relentless follow-up your team has, been with us by sharing snippets every now and then.
Right, but that's important as well. It's not about you calling and asking what happened. Right?
Yes, or when are you coming down?
Exactly.
So information sharing is extremely important, because they need to know and understand what's really happening in Dubai or what's really happening in UAE. We're talking about casinos and a lot of things, building up and taking shape. But at the same time, what their concern is the numbers. From an investor perspective, from someone wanting to relocate, obviously their first focus would be how safe and secure it is, how good education is for our kids.
Correct.
That is one more thing which has been layered up. Yes. Probably 10 years back, Dubai was not known in terms of people coming here to study, but now you see
families.
That is grown multifold in the past 4 to 5 years. That's largely linked with other countries and continents melting down big time.
And I think Dubai has paid a lot of attention to infrastructure for families as well.
That's right.
I mean, we're not just a city that anticipates traffic and builds more roads. Some people say it's all infrastructure. No. I think the supply of units coming in, residential units coming in, we are now seeing townhouses and more 2 bedrooms and 3 bedrooms as well. People showing a lot of interest. That tells me the families are buying. I was just looking at some of these stats in Business Bay, and I was amazed to see Business Bay, which is known for your 1-beds and studios, traditionally. I see such a spike in 2-beds.
Absolutely.
And I was having a chat with someone, and they were saying, listen, man, things have changed. Dubai changes that very quickly. You got safety, you got infrastructure, schools, hospitals. It's becoming an entertainment hub. It's becoming a business hub. So there's so many things for people to come and do. Plus, on top of all that, the icing on the cake is very safe city. So that's helped as well, right? The international
Absolutely.
story.
And there are one more set of clients or investors or people, I would say, they've left Dubai, for passports, seeking passports in
Right.
Europe, Canada.
Right.
They are the ones now coming back to
Coming
Dubai.
back.
So, and they are not the investors, they are the end users.
Right.
So, Dubai real
Right.
estate has also evolved a lot, matured a lot, which
Right.
is again a very good and a positive sign
Yeah.
that it no longer is dependent on investors to run the train.
Right.
But there are different layers of buyers, investors, relocators, people coming back to Dubai. Why do you see population exploding? Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
So that's where dynamics have changed. And globally, if you see, competition was largely with Singapore. It's gone down completely, melted down because they don't have enough space to cater.
Right.
Stamp duty rose by 60% 2 years back on property investments. They do not want international buyers to invest in properties back there.
Yeah.
And Dubai is, with open arms, everything being automated.
Yeah.
You don't have to even go to a stamp duty office or a registration office over
Absolutely.
here.
Everything is at the back of an app. Spoiled for choices, as we say.
These are
in Dubai.
obviously, Dubai has spoiled everyone.
Yeah.
In a positive way,
Yeah.
of
But it
course.
gets the attention of investors.
Yes.
Yeah.
And not because I have been living here, but I believe in what I see. And when you look at those global factors, I mean, at the moment, it's pretty much scary all across.
Oh, yes.
I mean, if you're staying, but
Circumstantial,
here
yes.
you don't get that even glimmer of
Absolutely.
feeling that
Absolutely.
you're not safe.
Yeah. And also being geographically well positioned.
Yes.
To connect to the rest of the world very quickly. if you
Asia,
have
Africa,
to.
Europe, three major. I mean, when someone is coming from US, which is average around 15 to 18 hours flight, we've been doing a lot of roadshows in US. So
Right.
ask us how tiring it
Yeah,
gets.
it is, yeah.
But then when we see that kind of traction from people from different segments in Northern America wanting to
Right.
invest,
Right.
I mean, that speaks in volumes that they
Yeah.
believe in this market.
Yeah.
Earlier there was an apprehension that it's an Islamic country, what will happen, but you see over here, I mean, you don't
Yeah.
even feel like that you're staying in an Islamic country. I mean,
Yeah, absolutely.
you've got
Absolutely.
temples, churches, everything. So
Ask
these
for it. It's all there.
so
yeah.
these are all small minute factors.
Yeah. But they count.
It might not impact that much someone staying here, but it does impact someone staying in.
And he wants to make that very important
yes.
decision of moving
Absolutely.
as well, relocating as well to Dubai.
Totally.
Now, I know there are many other agencies who kind of provide these end-to-end services. When a family wants to relocate to Dubai, I mean, it's not just buying real estate. There's a whole new set of parameters to be considered.
That's right.
How does ArK Vision help?
Okay. We've had clients who relocated and they've bought and invested in DAMAC Hills 1 itself.
Nice.
So we've been involved in terms of A to Z, right from providing them with all the information in terms of what are the best schools because they have kids. So
Right.
your first and foremost important factor for them to relocate if they've got kids is what kind of schooling
Schools are available, yeah.
someone would get over here. What kind of connectivity, the second
Right.
part, because you just can't come here and get your second degree, which is your driving license easily.
Yes.
So
It's
for
a nice
that,
way to put it, by the way.
yes. So then that again is an important factor
Yeah, very
for us
important
to
factor.
highlight
Yeah,
that
yeah.
Dubai has a lot of institutions everywhere.
Yeah.
So we share all these details from if I have to relocate, I always visualize that way that if I have to relocate, what are the basic ingredients
Gotta
and factors
consider.
required for me to shift or to look at that country. Being a
Right.
single bachelor or a couple, it's a different ball game altogether.
Right.
But as a family, these are small factors which needs to be looked upon.
Right.
Typically, gated communities are a big thing over here. Now, someone coming from India, they consider gated community as we don't know how well it's going to be maintained. But
Right.
here, it's
It's a different
the story is
story.
completely different.
Yes.
So they prefer to live in that kind of a community where
Right.
again their kids get all the facilities in terms of
Right.
utilization after their
Right.
school hours.
Yeah.
And like I said, with so many US, UK, Indian-based institutions already having in here, it just adds up in terms of the value proposition.
Right.
So right from that to insurance to pharma, how healthcare has also ramped up in the past
Absolutely has. They've invested
8-10
heavily into it,
years.
yes.
So those are factors. I mean, which we enlighten them. in terms of how much even an insurance policy for a kid would
Good
cost.
cost.
So they can even create their own Excels and
Do their
cost sheets.
financials before they
Yes,
make a decision, which is so
absolutely.
important, so vital.
Yes.
But I think that's the journey that you want to walk through
Yes.
with the client before he can fork out his money and make that investment decision. I'm going to bring you down to more or less the end of our conversation. 2 important tips that you would like to leave behind for either an international investor who's wanting to invest in Dubai or a broker who's considering to do roadshows abroad. What would that be?
Never go for a short sell. Always play long. It's like investing in stock market in blue chip stocks.
Right,
So roadshows are the same thing.
right.
If you understand this, have that patience and obviously bandwidth to go along with it, then you will have that success. Otherwise, shorting in a looking at shorting something in a short term period
Right.
is not going to help you.
Yeah.
So that's
it's a
my
long-term journey.
Yes, it's a long term journey, and
Right,
treat it
brilliant.
as a relation, not as a business transaction.
Right.
Yes.
Right. That's for clients as well.
Yes.
Right. So that brings us more or less to the end of it. Parth, I just want to thank you for taking your time out. I know you're very busy. The season's just going to be kicking in soon as well. We know it's going to be Ramadan, will be soon done in the next 15 days, and Dubai is going to get back on steroids.
But
And
it
I'm
doesn't look
sure-
like with the kind of numbers, I think business is happening.
Yeah,
so,
it is. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it doesn't look like a quiet month at all.
Absolutely.
Which is very typical of Dubai. Parth, I want to wish you all the very best for all your
Thank you
future
very much.
endeavors, especially the events that you're going to be putting together. And for those who've tuned in, signed in today, I want to thank you for joining us. And do remember, this is ArK Vision. They've been a partner with DAMAC for many, many years. They've been a very solid, consistent partner. And you just saw the ecosystem that they want you all to understand, the value system that they uphold. So if you are looking at meeting them internationally, wherever you are as a client, please do reach out to Parth and this team. Thank you so much for joining us
Pleasure's
today.
all mine.
It's a pleasure to have you today.
Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me. Yes.